Hi everybody, welcome to Racing English. 2 weeks ago was the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series All-Star race, and in that race, Joey Logano robbed Kyle Larson of the win. Kyle Larson led a large portion of the race, only to have Joey Logano's car come in right at the end and steal the win. And Kyle Larson's been very close, but he's still yet to get his first win. Before the All-Star race, NASCAR made a few tweaks to the aero package specifically for that race, and I'd say they were a success because that was one of the most exciting races on a 1.5 mile track that I've seen for a very long time. It may have just been that there was $1 million on the line and the format made everything a little bit crazy, but it was certainly a very fun race to watch. There was a lot of criticism about the format because a lot of people were confused. I think in the final segment, having a random draw to decide how many cars get to come down in the pit and how many cars stay out is a very good idea. I just think the mandatory pit stops under green kind of messed everything up and made it a little bit more confusing. I think if they just get rid of those and keep the draw at the end, I think that'll be the best All-Star race format there's ever been. Last week, NASCAR announced that at Michigan and Kentucky, they would be making further tweaks to the aero package. At those tracks, they would be reducing about 500 more pounds of downforce, and that would bring the total downforce reduction to 1,400 pounds. I think this is a good move. It seems like stock cars don't really race very well when they have high downforce, so I think lower downforce is definitely the way to go. And last weekend, Martin Truex Jr. dominated the Coke 600. Out of 400 laps, he led 392. He's been close this year, and he's had very fast cars. But this week, this race was basically perfect. He won practice, he won the pole, and he led very nearly the whole race. If there were some stops under caution, he probably would have led the whole thing. The next race is going to be at Pocono on June 5th, and I think Martin Truex Jr. is going to be the guy to beat because he won the race last year. Seems like his cars are faster than they were last year. And also now he's got the momentum coming off that big win at Charlotte. Also last weekend was the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I think this was one of the most exciting finishes of the season. Denny Hamlin overcame a late race penalty to get I think that's the 5th win for the 18 team this year. And he had one of the fastest cars early in the race, but as the race wore on, the 22 car and the 42 car of Kyle Larson, they started to come in, they were able to stretch their legs a little bit, and once Denny Hamlin got that pit road penalty for an uncontrolled tire, it looked like they would run away with the race. But Eric Jones blew a tire with 2 laps to go. There was a green-white checkered. Denny pitted, he restarted in 6th and was the first guy on 4 tires. He drove around everybody on the restart and was able to get the win. Unfortunately for Kyle Larson, that was the 3rd NASCAR race in a row that he probably should have won but didn't. Going back to the Cup race at Dover, the All-Star race, and now this Xfinity race. And you could even argue the race before at Kansas that he had a shot to win. I don't think he had the best car, but he was certainly in contention before getting caught up in a crash. A lot of people are impressed with Cole Custer at Richmond when he finished 6th on his debut, and he followed that up with 4th place in his 2nd start, and he actually led the Junior Motorsports contingency and had the best. That was one of the strongest races of his career because normally when he's run the Truck Series, he hasn't really been running against a lot of Cup regulars, and this race had plenty of guys doing the double between the Xfinity and the Sprint Cup race. So that was a very strong run for that guy. I think these Xfinity races are going to give him a little bit more momentum because a lot of people thought he was going to be the guy to beat in the Truck Series. Just judging from his results, he was almost always contention to win when he jumped in a truck. But this year, he really hasn't had that. His finishes just haven't been on form. He had that one good run at Dover where he probably could have won but had a penalty for a jump start that took him out of contention. But hopefully these Xfinity races will help get some momentum going and he'll get back to victory lane soon. The next race is going to be at Pocono on June 4th. Eric Jones is probably going to be the Xfinity regular to beat. He was very fast before getting caught up in a crash. There was one of the back markers blew up and that put oil down on the track, and Eric Jones was unfortunately one of the guys who got caught up in it. It was on one specific lane, and he happened to pick that lane going into the corner, and the car was gone before he even had a chance to save it. But I think the speed of the Joe Gibbs teams, and also his prowess is going to make him the guy to beat on Saturday. 2 weeks ago, the Truck Series came off a relatively long break at Charlotte, and Matt Crafton was able to steal one from Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch was definitely the guy to beat. He just kind of methodically worked his way to the front, but his team had a tire get away from them in the pits, and that resulted in him having to drop to the end of the line. And basically none of the other guys could challenge Matt Crafton, who got his second win in a row. That race was the strongest run for Rico Abreu. He ran inside the top 10 for basically the whole day, and even ran inside the top 5 at one point, and led his first laps in the Truck Series. But unfortunately, he overshot his pit box and was given a drive-through penalty under green for pitting outside the box, and that took him out of contention and relegated him to a 20th place finish. The next race is going to be at Texas on June 10th, and Matt Crafton won that race last year, and he's coming off 2 wins in a row. I think he's going to be the guy to beat. Depends how many Sprint Cup regulars run that race, and maybe see if Kyle Busch or Kyle Larson decides to run that race. But I think Matt Crafton's certainly going to be the Truck Series regular to beat, and he's my pick to win that race. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.